Hi, I'm Kaja.
And I'm Joanna.
And this is Starlit Citadel Reviews.
Dragon's Hoard is a resource management card game designed and published by Nathaniel Mortensen.
In Dragon's Hoard, players are dragons building up their hoard of treasure by collecting and spending captured sheep. It supports from 2 to 4 players and lasts about 45 minutes.
Players start Dragon's Hoard by shuffling the deck and placing it sheep side up in the center of the table. They take the top 4 cards and lay them beside the deck, also sheep side up, and this forms the field. Each player draws 4 cards and gets a reference card. The starting player is chosen, and the game begins.
On their turn, a player draws 2 cards and then takes up to 2 actions. Now, an action consists of either playing a treasure card or playing an action card, and you cannot take the same action twice.
Players can draw from the field or from the top of the deck. If a player draws from the field, that card is immediately replaced. Now, you can't look at any of the cards that you've drawn until you're finished drawing.
To play a treasure card, a player discards a number of cards from their hand in the appropriate color that's equal to the number of sheep symbols in the treasure card's upper left. The multicolored sheep symbol indicates a card of any color. Cards are discarded sheep side up, and the treasure is placed face up in front of its owner.
A lair card can be played without discarding any other cards. If you play a lair, you cannot play any treasures or other lairs on the same turn. Each lair can hold up to 4 treasures of its color, and its owner scores bonus points at the end of the game according to the number of cards in each of their lairs. You can only have 1 lair of each color.
Now, an action card is played face up in front of the player that it targets. The thief lets you steal 2 cards from an opponent's hand. The knight skips one opponent's turn. The shepherd lets the active player draw 2 cards, and the angry mob forces all opponents to discard half their hand.
The battle can stop the effects of any card played against you and is played as a reaction to someone else's action card. The wizard can be played together with any card to make it unstoppable. The wild sheep is not played as an action, but can be discarded for treasure as a sheep of any color.
If a player has more than 10 cards at the end of their turn, then they must discard down to 10. Now, the game ends at the end of the round in which one player played their 10th treasure. Players add up the points from their treasures and their lairs, and the player with the highest score wins.
So I really enjoy Dragon's Hoard. As soon as I opened the box, I knew I was going to like this game. The art's great, it's cute, it's quick and light and portable. This is the kind of game that I would definitely take with me if I was going to a convention. I'd put it in my purse or my backpack, and if I sat down at a table with a bunch of people who wanted to play a game and we only had a few minutes, I could bring it out and teach it, and we'd be playing and having fun really quickly. I really enjoy this game. I think it's very tightly designed. I love the actions. There's enough to do without overwhelming people. I think you could teach it to pretty much any age as well. It's really family friendly. One thing that is potentially a negative for this game is the fact that I think it might be a little bit weak on the 2-player end. A lot of the mechanics are very sort of take-that mechanics, and those are really going to be at their strongest when you're in a larger group with a lot of different people that you can interact with. So it might be a little bit better as a group game rather than a 2-player game.
Another potential weakness of Dragon's Hoard is a little bit more group specific. Because there are so many take-that mechanics, and because it is a game that's a race to the most points, you can get groups that really like to gang up and just bash on the leader. As soon as anybody starts pulling a little bit ahead, they get pulled right back down. That can bog the game down a little bit in the late game sometimes, where it just feels like there's so much back and forth that the game isn't really progressing forward as much as you'd like. And that is something to be aware of if you know your group is prone to this kind of behavior. That being said, I really like Dragon's Hoard. I'm in love with the art. The sheep are awesome. They're so quirky, they're so cute, they're just a little bit smug and a little bit haughty, and they've got so much personality. The game is just absolutely charming as far as the art is concerned, and that carries over into the action cards and some of the treasures as well. There's some more like kind of classic fantasy art to it, but there's often just a little bit of a sense of humor that really just makes this game delightful to look at. There's also some really smart visual design choices choices that were made. Even though some of the colors are a little bit similar, each color is associated with very different shapes, with very different designs. Each of the sheep has a unique look, which means this is a game that's very easy to navigate even for people who are colorblind or aren't dealing very well with the colors, which is a really smart touch. I think this is a fantastic teaching game, especially when it comes to resource management. There are some good strategic decisions to be made in this game. It's not a pure filler. There's some really interesting choices that you've got to make because every single one of your nice treasures is going to cost you other cards that also provide you with really important benefits. And especially if you're playing with younger players who are maybe going to go on to play more complex resource management games, this is a really nice, accessible way of teaching those kinds of skills and providing those kinds of decisions in a light, fun, and charming little game.
So if sheep are a currency, are they traded on the flock market?